There are a lot of great ROM hacks of Super Mario 64 out there. They have unique worlds and stars, sometimes even unique mechanics. If you've ever wanted to make your own levels in Super Mario 64, there's quite a bit of a learning curve. Now, thanks to a ROM hack by Rovertronic, even dumb little baby men like me can make my own Mario 64 levels. Hopping into the editor might be a bit overwhelming at first. There's a lot to see. Navigating through the controls will be a little confusing at first, but considering you can play this on actual N64 hardware, I think the developers did a great job making this work. You can move on the X-axis with the analog stick, and move on the Y-axis with C up and C down. C right and C left adjust your horizontal camera, while down in the D-pad adjusts your zoom level. Now for the fun stuff, the actual building parts. There's a ton of objects to play with. You have the various terrain pieces that you can place that come in different styles. You have regular grass, sand, lava, and whatever else you want. You can even make custom blocks using combinations of the available textures. If you press the start button, you can see the entire list of available objects. Just about everything you could want from Super Mario 64 is here. Item blocks, coins, item boxes, and there's even some objects not in Super Mario 64 here. The note blocks from Super Mario Bros. 3 are available, as well as red and blue switches that you can use to turn on and off red and blue blocks, just like in Super Mario Maker. Oh look, it's Koopa the Quick. When you place him on your level, you can actually map out his course to the flagpole, meaning you can make him do stuff like this. On the next page are all the enemies from Super Mario 64, including the bosses. Everything is at your fingertips. The only limits to your creations are your imagination, and the fact that you're locked to a grid. One of the coolest things about Super Mario Maker was seeing how different objects would interact with one another. That's present in Mario Builder 64 too. When I was messing around with Koopa the Quick, I found out he can actually press the red and blue buttons. That means a better designer than myself could recreate you versus Boo from Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, but with Koopa the Quick. That's so sick! I thought more about how to utilize the switches to make a very simple level that has a star hidden inside some red blocks. To turn them off, you have to hit a switch that I hid under the level. But the only way to press it and grab the star is to throw King Bob-omb off the ledge and onto the button. This is just a single concept and can definitely be done better than this, but the fact that I was encouraged to engineer something like this is super cool. The magic of creating stages in Mario Maker is definitely present here. There are some additional options in the settings menu, including changing level themes. You have all the basic themes from Mario 64, as well as a few bonus ones like the retro theme. This makes your terrain textures look like Super Mario Bros. 1. Honestly, this is kinda killer on the eyes, but that doesn't make it any less cool. You can make your stage a bottomless void, a chasm, and you can even make water levels. You can actually set the height of the water levels too. If you drag the little water switch doodad from Wet Dry World, you can build levels with the ability to set water level during gameplay. I tried to make a Koopa the Quick race using this mechanic, but every time Koopa the Quick fell into the water, he just kinda broke. I'm sure with some tinkering I could make this work, but the results were pretty funny. So unlike Super Mario Maker, you can actually choose the music that your levels have. Just go ahead and pick the music that speaks to you. In addition to the Mario 64 songs, there are actually songs from other ROM hacks and themes from other Mario games. Of course, no level is complete without stars to grab. You can have up to 63 in a level, in fact. I don't know why you would, but it's nice to know that you can. You can assign stars to bosses by spawning a star inside them in the editor, just like in Mario Maker. You can also add red coin stars, and what's cool about this is there's no hard limit on needing 8 red coins. The amount of red coins needed to spawn the star is entirely dependent on how many you put in your level. There can be as few as 1, and I wasn't able to find the upper limit. I stopped around 175. I figured that was probably enough. If you hate your players, you can also add 100 coin stars. And if you love your players, you can actually make the required amount smaller. Or if you're a villain, you can make it higher. These come in multiples of 20, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, and so on and so forth. Just like with the red coins, the limit that you can set is actually dependent on how many available coins you place in your level, so you can't make it impossible. Being able to fine-tune these hard Super Mario 64 rules is refreshing. Who needs tradition when you can have 175 red coins? Once you're satisfied with your level and want to share it with others, you can grab the file and upload it to Level Share Square. This is where I went to grab some levels to try out. Just set the drop down to Mario Builder 64 and you're ready to roll. There's not a ton here yet, but the developers of the ROM hack worked on some levels ahead of release to give players a taste of what's possible. I went in expecting it to be cool and, man, I'm just impressed. The first level I tried was Rovertronic's Ascent. The entire level takes place inside of a metal fortress, and the goal is to get to the top. Right away, I was greeted by a puzzle involving the red and blue switches I mentioned earlier. In this case, blue blocks form a bridge you need to use to cross a large gap, but the switch is in a small cubby behind some fire, so Mario can't press it himself. So what you have to do is grab a throwable box and throw it at the switch to activate it. Brilliant. I love it. This is exactly the kind of interesting design I'm excited to see from other user-created levels. From there, you go on from room to room trying to climb up and find your way to the star. It's not especially varied or difficult, but serves as a great showpiece for what's possible. Another great showpiece level is Skyward Settlement, again by Rovertronic. This is a village in the sky that looks and feels like it would be right at home in the original Super Mario 64. Again, it's not a level that's super difficult or varied, but it just feels good to play. Snowy Wonderland, by this name that I don't know how to pronounce, feels like the first fully featured level I've experienced. It has 5 stars total, including red coins and 100 coin stars. There's big gaps and tough jumps, and right at the start there's this wooden structure with coins running up the walls, and at first I thought it wanted me to wall jump. But instead, I just jumped right through it. Caught me off guard, but it surprised me. And that's the kind of feeling I want to have from user-generated levels. Just that feeling of being surprised. The platforming here is a little bit more difficult, as Mario can slide around and fall off pretty easily, leading you to your doom. Speaking of dying, Mario has no life counter, so play to your heart's content. The level state, your red coins, and regular coins will reset, but the stars you've collected don't. So if you're playing a level packed with stars, you don't have to worry about collecting them all in one life. That's really cool. That said, I do find it a bit weird that Mario doesn't exit the stage after collecting the last available star in a level. You have to quit manually. I think it'd be nice if this were an option. In the future, it'd be cool to see multiplayer as well as other playable characters. And maybe a checkpoint flag. I'm sure there are plenty of updates to come, and I'm excited to see what the developer comes up with. The spirit of Mario Maker is here. Making my own Mario 64 levels is something I've always wanted to do. The way you approach 3D level design is both so different and so similar to 2D level design. I've already spent a couple hours just tinkering with the tools in the builder. It's so easy to drop into your level, test something, and then bop out to fix it if it doesn't work. It's not quite as fast or as simple as Super Mario Maker, but it's still fun. I think this ROM hack will go beyond just being a fun way to interact with Super Mario 64, but also offer an easily accessible playground for aspiring game devs or even hobbyists like me to gain a deeper understanding of level design. It blows my mind that this works on real hardware. I wasn't able to try this myself, but I'm imagining what it would have been like to have this available back in the 90s on my 64. Little 5-year-old me just creating abominations, but taking that and learning from it. Not to get real, but I wonder how it would have affected my career path. Like many kids into gaming, one of my dreams was to be a game designer. Having something accessible like this for one of my favorite games could have given me the tools I needed to pursue that career. You never really know, but I'm so glad that this is here for a new generation of players and makers alike. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what Mario Builder 64 can be, both from the current user levels themselves and also the tools available. What's here is incredible. We can only go up. I'll leave a link to Rovertronic's Twitter in the description so you guys can get started making and playing your own levels. If you have any cool ideas or see any neat levels to play, drop them in the comments below. This is something I want to keep tinkering with. Several times during the creation of this video, I just got lost in the fun of messing around with the builder. Hunter, do you want to make some Mario 64 levels? I think he's into it.